Hello and welcome to World Talks on TVP World with me, Ashim Kumar. Stock markets around the world are seeing major drops in equities, and companies are scrambling to find a response to the imposition of tariffs on exports to the US. The EU is facing a flat 20% tariff with an additional 25% on the export of cars. While some experts urge calm and caution, others warn of challenges ahead. Well, to help us unpack the economic consequences, potential trade shifts, and what strategies Europe and the CEE region might adopt in response, we're joined by Tomáš Prouza, Vice President of the Czech Chamber of Commerce. Welcome, sir, to TVP World, and thank you very much for taking the time.
Good afternoon to everybody. Very much thanks for having me.
Good afternoon. A pleasure indeed. Now, we're hearing kind of different responses to the tariffs. Some are seeing this as, a complete disaster. Others are seeing a silver lining to the clouds. How do you see it?
Well, the silver lining will come very late down the road. Yes, it will force European businesses to modernize. Yes, it will force us to deregulate European businesses with drowning in red tape, but that will take a lot of time. What we need now is also quick solutions. And yes, we can hope, some hope that the financial market disaster will do the work for us. But again, we can wait a few days, but we need to be ready to retaliate, because I think the experience, even with Donald Trump from his first presidential term, was that he only understands strength. He does not understand friendships. He does not understand values. The only thing that works is that if we are powerful enough.
But does the EU currently have the economic clout to retaliate in a way that'll change President Trump's tariffs?
If we are clever enough, definitely will. And again, if we simply put our tariffs on manufactured goods, that will not move the needle. But we are a great market for American tech firms, and a lot of the tech moguls are very close to Donald Trump, not only Elon Musk. And we are also a very attractive playground for American financial companies. Again, many of them are very huge sponsors of the Republican Party in the US. So again, if we are clever, if we target those that are close to Donald Trump and that they will feel the pain, we can be effective. And we've already seen Elon Musk actually yesterday talking about the potential zero tariff EU-US arrangements. So I think he already does feel the pain.
What about negotiating? Because Trump has hinted at differential tariffs according to the country and the industry sector and so on. Is there an opportunity for countries within the EU to negotiate independent tariffs with him?
I think that would be very dangerous. I think if we allow that, then we will see very quickly this race to the bottom. I think we already see it in Italy, when the Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni is suggesting that she could maybe cut a deal with Donald Trump. And yes, if she could cut a deal for whole Europe, that would be good. But we've seen it during Brexit negotiations. The only reason why Europe survived those discussions was that we stuck together. So if we give up this unity, Donald Trump will have the strength to pick us apart. If we are united, he does not have the clout. He does not have the power. In the end, America needs us not only as an export market for social media and financial services, but also one of the largest markets for American weapons. And that is another strong argument we have, that we need to buy arms that are not made in Europe very often. So again, this will be very attractive for American companies.
Understood. Although, sticking together in principle sounds great, but, when we think about the automotive industry, for example, and countries like Slovakia, who are going to suffer the extra tariff, 25% on exports of automotive components and cars to the US. I mean, can they wait? Can they hold out, for this unity to form and retaliatory tariffs to be developed and so on, or do they need something now?
I think they need primarily support to modernize, because yes, even Slovakia, there is some finalization of cars, but most of the car industry in Slovakia or in the Czech Republic is actually car parts manufacturing, when we only supply the finalists elsewhere in Europe. And again, countries in Central Europe are under, and you're absolutely right, under a big danger, because in the end, the final producers will find a way, but they will move the pain towards their suppliers. And a lot of the car parts industry in Central Europe is already running on minimum margins. They do not have space to lower their prices further. So if this is not solved quickly, then a lot of the companies in Central and Eastern Europe will turn into red. They will start having financial losses, and they cannot survive for long.
Okay, now we were talking to former Polish Prime Minister Bielecki earlier, and he said, well, one area, he said, don't panic. There is a silver lining. And one aspect, of course, was renegotiating trade deals with the US, which you've already addressed. The other aspect was the opportunity to invest in defense and using that industry to prop up the EU economy across the board. Your thoughts on that?
And we absolutely need to do that. And we're very late into the game. And you know that Poland was actually one of the very few exceptions that invested into defense. My country, Czech Republic, has not done that in the past. Many other countries across Europe have not done that in the past. It was Poland, it was the Baltics, that was almost it. So we need to speed it up. We need to again find very quickly the money to do that. The capacity is there in many areas, but what we also need to make sure for the defense industry, that there are long-term commitments of the governments to actually keep buying, because very often it is too expensive to simply produce for a short time. And that was one of the big failures of European countries, that we have not made the commitments to keep arming up in the long term.
Well, where's the money going to come from, though? Is it going to be a cut in other areas of the economy?
We can still generate additional funding, and I expect in many European countries we will have to see increased tax burden to finance at least part of the purchases. On the other hand, if we buy jointly, for governments, we can cut the costs. And again, here this argument for unity makes a lot of sense. If you look at the US, they have actually very limited range of weapons, whereas in Europe, now each larger country loves to have their own tanks, there are a lot of personal carriers. So we need to unite the development and the production to cut down the costs. And yes, we will also need to, I think, relax the stability and growth pact rules on the indebtedness of Europe. And one of the simple rules I think we need to introduce very quickly is that at least part of the defense expenditures will not count into these ceilings we have in Europe.
Okay, now moving on to a third possibility, and that is, of course, replacing the US as a market with countries like India, for example, which in itself is, of course, huge. Is that something you see happening over the next few years?
I think there will be a motivation, even of those countries, to close the trade deals with Europe much faster than in the past. Though I worry about one thing, that we will focus too much on these potential future new markets, and we need to do that. But I think most of the attention should actually go into improving the European single market. We're still too complicated. There's still a lot of bureaucratic problems we face, and about a few weeks ago, the International Monetary Fund looked at the European market and put out an analysis that says that our internal barriers are equal to about 45% tariff for goods and 110% tariff for services. So if we can actually streamline European markets, cut down part of these barriers, that will be much more beneficial for European companies than if we open new markets in Asia or Latin America.
Understood. And in the last couple of minutes that we have left, Mr. Prouza, what do you expect to happen to employment in the EU generally and in CEE particularly?
Again, so far, I don't see a major crisis. What we'll see will be changes. Yes, for example, well, there's lower demand for automotive, but there will be increased demand for defense production. So we'll see shifts. I think we will need more funding for retraining of the workers we have. But again, Central and East Europe has great industrial base, and I think we can be one of the winners of these new changes. Again, if we invest in the trainings and if we cut down these internal trade barriers.
Yes, but you know, with the population getting older, the size of the population that you can retrain, that you can bring into new industries, is declining as more and more people retire or die. Is that going to pose a problem?
It will, and again, automation, digitalization need to be part of that answer. And also, we are still attractive part of Europe for many workers from Ukraine. I think we've benefited very much from the Ukrainians coming to Central Europe. And yes, you're absolutely right. There are many jobs Europeans no longer want to do.
Understood. Now, when you are wearing the hat of the Vice President of the Czech Chamber of Commerce, what advice are you giving to Czech companies in terms of dealing with these tariffs?
Innovate very quickly, refocus maybe on doing more business in Europe, and yes, look also at other potential markets. But again, other markets outside of Europe are nice to have, but Europe is where over 80% of Czech exports go. So keep focusing on that and keep more of the value chain for yourself. Again, stop being simply sub-suppliers and try to move into final production.
Excellent. Well, I think that's probably excellent advice. Thank you very much indeed for sharing it with our audience. Do come back and see us again soon. Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Thank you very much for having me. Nice evening to all.
Thank you. Bye-bye now. And that's all from us in this episode of World Talks. Goodbye.